Hi, my name is Fiona. I'm the Registration Service Standards and Monitoring Officer. Welcome to session 3 of your online marriage officer training. In session 2 we discussed the blues and we discussed how the legal framework that we work within sort of starts at this phase. So if you have the blues in your hand, you know that that couple have done their legal preliminaries. You've got some information about the venue and the wedding that you're at, and you also have some information about the couples themselves, so name, address, occupation, that type of thing. So it might be worth having that handy, and then as we go through this session, which is the questions, you can refer back to it. So the questions are actually the legal start of any marriage ceremony. We are required under that legal framework to ask them, and there are several reasons for that. We ask the questions on the day because although there is information contained within the blues, some of that could have changed. The couple could have moved house, they may have had a birthday since the certificate was issued, they could have changed their jobs. As we discovered in session 2, the blues can be valid for up to 12 months. So if you think an awful lot can happen in 12 months. So it's really important on the day of the ceremony to ascertain the information that is accurate on that day. And to do this, we have a standardised set of questions. You won't need to learn the questions. You will have a sheet of questions with you every time you go out. You will also have with you your senior marriage officer. You go out as a team, so there's always going to be somebody there to ask questions of. So don't worry unduly about any of that. You will have a copy of the questions in your pack, so you can go through them and have a little look. But what I'm going to do now is go through on the screen. We'll run through the questions and we'll sort of just discover a little bit more about what's behind the questions that we ask. So you'll see here on the screen our lovely colleague Sharon. She's asking the questions of a bride outside a ceremony venue. That may be Alsager Civic, I'm not too sure. However, what you'll see here, Sharon has got the blues and she's using those to check the information off. And she has some other documentation there as well, but we'll come to that as we go through these training sessions. Generally speaking, the bride or one of the partners will be interviewed just outside the marriage room. So as you can see here, she's all ready, good to go, ready to walk up the aisle. You'll also, with the partner one, often the groom, you will interview them actually in the ceremony room. So normally you would arrive at a venue 20 to 30 minutes before the scheduled start time. And the groom usually appears with a best man. So you will be getting the groom or partner one to come and sit at the table with you and you'll run through these questions with them. So when you meet the couple individually, you will need to introduce yourself. So, hi, I'm Fiona, I'm the registrar today. It's my job to make an accurate record of your registration, make a record of your details in our marriage register so that I can produce your marriage certificate. I would also say I'm going to ask you some questions. You saw the registrar when you did your notice for marriage, so I'm just going to run through some of that information with you today. And then at the end of all of this, at the end of the ceremony, I'm going to ask you to check what I've written before I ask you to sign it. So you do an introduction a little bit like that. Don't worry about memorising that. We'll have plenty of time to go through that with you. And as I say, there'll be two of you always at any venue. So your senior marriage officer will always be there to help. So I said standardised questions, and that is what we have got. So the very first question is, what is your full name and surname? So if you look at your blues, you will see that John Henry Cooper is the groom's full name, and that is in column 1 on your blue. So quite simple, quite straightforward. The next question, are you or have you ever been known by any other names? So in this instance, I would expect that John would say, no, I've never been known by any other names. There may be instances on your blues where somebody has been known by another name. Have a look through the selection of blues that you've got in your pack and see if you can find some examples. So, this is the hardest question of the whole day. What is your age today? We're all very good, we know our date of birth, the day, the month, the year that we were born, but how many of us are actually in denial about how old we are? And when you've got a couple getting married, their brain is so full of everything that how old you are is a question that completely throws them. So we always ask them, how old are you today? And if they're looking slightly blank or having to ask for help, that's fine. What you can do to help them is if you have a look at the date of issue of your certificate, you will see that on the 20th of March 2020, John Henry Cooper was 40 years of age. So you could say to him, have you had a birthday since the 20th of March? So that's just to help. As I say, that's the trickiest question of the whole day, but it's really important to get it right. So do just try and explore that one a little bit. You will see from a document called the Aid Memoir that you'll have in your pack, there's a little age calculator on there just to help with that. So seek that out if you get a minute. Slightly longer question now. Have you been through any form of marriage or civil partnership before in this country or any other country? So I've said that these are standardised questions, and the couple will have been asked this exact question when they did their legal preliminaries. So when John answers the question, his answer to this will be, yes, I've been married before. And then you will have to ask him how that marriage ended. You have to hope he doesn't say badly, because what we'd like him to say is divorced. I got divorced. And I explained in session 2 that although you'll see in column 3 on your blue, condition is previous marriage dissolved, what that actually means is John is divorced. But we write previous marriage dissolved. Slightly simpler question this time. What is your present occupation? So you can see from column 4 on your blues that John's present occupation is gynecology consultant. So we like to have as much information as possible. So rather than just saying consultant, which could be anything, it's very good to put some form of definition of what sort of consultant. So not a business consultant, anything like that, he's a gynecology consultant. So our next question, what is your present address? So this is one of those ones that he could have moved house, but in this instance we'll stick with, I live at Horseshoe House, 50 The Paddock, Prestbury, Macclesfield, SK10 1AA. And it is important just to make sure that you've got all of that detail down. So we move on to father. So there's room on the marriage register for father's details. So as you'll see on here, the question to ask is, what is the full name and surname of your natural father? And then we just need to ascertain whether dad is still living. It may well be that dad's in the room with the person getting married, and that's fine, but it's still important to ascertain whether it's a natural father or a stepfather. Again, you'll have your senior marriage officer with you, so they will be able to help you if you have any questions about this. Next question, father's occupation. What is your father's occupation, and is he still working? Fairly simple really. John may well say, well, my dad was a hospital manager, but he's retired. He may not volunteer that, then you would have to ask, is he still working? And if it had already been made clear that Dad had passed away, you would need to ask, had he retired before he passed away? And therefore we would be recording that what his occupation was, but that he's retired. I mentioned earlier the pink pro forma. All of the information about father's details have a space on the back of the pro forma, so you'll be able to record the person's answers onto there. And another thing to record onto your pro forma are the names of the witnesses. So in one of our later sessions, Andrew will go on and talk to you about the legalities of the marriage ceremony, and in that he will mention witnesses, but you do need a minimum of 2 witnesses to any ceremony. There can be up to 4, but 2 is the minimum, and so you would need to check with the couple who their witnesses are and record their details on the back of your pink pro forma. Those are the questions. They get asked in the same format every single time we do it. You don't need to learn them. As I said earlier, there is a copy in all of the documentation that goes out to a wedding with you. You have your copy in your pack as well, so have a look at them, but don't learn them. Practice asking them. Have a go, have a look at the blues that you've got in there. Ask your friends, ask your family, collate some details from them just to practice asking the questions. We ask the questions in exactly the same format every time. All marriage ceremonies do start with the questions, and as I've said several times going through, you are out as a team. It is not you out there by yourself. There will always be somebody there to help you. That was the session on the questions. Thank you.